Hello and welcome to Climbing Daily. Tom Randall is an expert on hard crack climbing and brutal training regimes. But on a recent trip to America, he met his match on the Crucifix Project.
The last trip to America was an unusual trip in the way that when me and Pete went out on it, the entire trip was essentially a project finding mission. And we knew how hard we wanted something to be, knew what sort of feature we wanted it on. And we ended up spending almost a month in the desert searching around for a first ascent project, which is really weird because we didn't even know if it existed. 2 weeks of full-on exploring in the desert before we found it. On the map, we'd mark out a number of kind of X's on a satellite view of what looked like from the aerial views, potentials for projects. And we saw one thing that looked like a very good crack, really big. Went to the area, abbed down it, and as we went around the corner, there was just the worst, crappiest crack you've ever seen, about 30 foot long or something like that. And we were so disappointed with it and so disgusted that it was so bad compared to what the satellite was that we didn't think for once, oh, maybe if we went round the corner another 30 meters, there is the thing which looks like a 200-foot roof crack on the satellite. And so we turned around and never went back until the very, very last day when we'd essentially explored the entire White Rim, days and days, miles and miles of exploring. And Pete said, we should just go and check out one last thing, which was this project that we weren't 100% sure that we'd found it. And it was a complete, I don't know, shot in the dark, basically, because I thought it was a waste of time because we definitely had found this crap 30-foot crack. And as it turned out, we hadn't. I think the impossibility word is one that both of us are prepared to say, deal with, think about. But often the concept of impossibility is around other people's perceptions of things. So we really get incentivized when we hear someone says, oh, this challenge is impossible, or that route might be impossible. And then we go after it straight away based on other people's perceptions. But I think for this time is very, very close to the margins of what we can conceive as possible for us, for anyone else, just full stop. And that's interesting because it's very, very difficult to control your positivity, your objectiveness, and not getting bogged down by something which seems unachievable. First thoughts when I looked up at the crack were, oh my God, that's massive. I mean, and that's probably what we spent most of our time looking for, is these ones that visually you'd straight away think this is bigger and better than anything I've seen before. Secondly, we were constantly worried that something would be too easy. Looking at it, first of all, we for the first minute went, maybe, oh no, you know what, this could be too easy. And then as we concentrated more on the individual sections and kind of viewed along it, because it's so long, you kind of have to look up in different sections. And then there was this one very, very hard section for 30 or 40 feet that looks totally desperate and maybe even not climbable. And that's when we thought, you know what, this could be the one, because whilst there's 150 foot of the crack, which might be French 8B plus 8C, something like that, if you've got some very, very hard section in the middle of it, that's what you're looking for. So training for a trip in which you're going after a route that you don't even know whether it exists generally leads to not the best preparation, because in reality what happened was me and Pete had this idea, probably naive, that we were going to find some gigantic 300-foot thin hands crack. And so we spent 6 months or so getting really, really good at this kind of style of climbing and really endurance-y, sustained bad sizes. And then it ended up that we found nothing like that on this Crucifix project. It was full of monos, and I have not done any mono training for a very, very long time. I've definitely sat back and gone, you know what, we don't need to rush this in terms of making changes in our climbing ability, because otherwise we could push the margins of the riskiness of strategy we use in training. Because it's so much about mono climbing and hanging off a single finger. And so we're being very, very steady, breaking it down, and as ever, kind of working as a team and making sure that when one person has some doubts, you're super positive, even if you might not feel it. And when you have doubts, hopefully the person backs you up. We're training on fingerboards, on slings, campus work, footless mono work, and a lot of shoulder, back and core stability work, so that when we're in a roof and our arms are in that wide position, is we're super stable and every move can be done with high degree of accuracy. We are booking flights to go back to the Crucifix this week, and I think we're looking mid-September to mid-October sometime like that, so around a month trip again.
Tom and Pete Whittaker are in the States right now trying the project, so we'll let you know how it goes. Thanks for watching.